Hello and welcome back to the Haunt Line, dedicated to SoCal haunts and events. And welcome back to our brand new show, Haunt Top 5. I'm very excited because today we're going to be counting down our top 5 Horror Nights mazes, but I can't do it alone. So here to help out and joining us on this episode is Scott from SoCal Exploring. Scott, welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? And thank you for having me onto the Hotline.
Dude, it is an honor and a pleasure, man. It's cool, man. We're all connecting. All what did Losh call us? The Booze Brothers?
The Booze Brothers. We have a little group chat of YouTubers, of down-to-earth YouTubers, and we're called the Booze Brothers, as Losh likes to say.
I love it, man. So, yeah, total pleasure to have you on the show. Before we get into our top 5 countdown, though, I kind of want to learn a little bit more about your history with Horror Nights. So, why don't you tell us, man, how long have you been going to Halloween Horror Nights here in Hollywood?
So I've been going consistently since 2010. I went in 2010 once, and I absolutely loved it. At the same time, I was terrified, first year going.
As it happens, yeah.
Exactly. And ever since then, I've been going multiple nights during the season's run, whatever the particular season is. Last year was my 10th year, and a rightful good year. With Killer Clowns from Outer Space, mazes like Ghostbusters. Such a great year last year.
So 10 years in a row. The first time I went to Horror Nights was in 2009. And then I didn't go back to 2013. So I've got a little bit of a gap there in between. So you kind of have a leg up on me right now that you've got to experience a few more mazes.
At least you got to experience 2009.
Yeah, 2009 was pretty fun. That was a solid year. And yeah, man. So I guess we can jump right into it from there. Since you are our guest, I want to give you the honor. Why don't you start off our countdown with your number 5, Scott?
Okay, so number 5 for me. I have, I don't know if the camera's going to focus on it. Here, let me put my hand behind it. Let's see if it does. There we go. Okay, so Insidious from 2015.
Ah, nice.
2015 Insidious. I mean, it is the best Insidious that has ever come to Halloween Horror Nights, in my personal opinion. Absolutely terrifying. The facade was beautiful. I mean, it was such a beautiful facade, and one of my favorite locations at Horror Nights Hollywood, the JPQ, but now I guess we could say the JWQ. But I love Insidious. It was terrifying, and it was one of those mazes that I don't get scared through mazes since I've been going for such a long time, but it's one of the mazes that genuinely scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, I feel like in most of their Insidious mazes, they did a great job of kind of capturing the look and feel of the movie. And the look and feel of the movie is terrifying, so that translated pretty well to the mazes, too.
Exactly. It all worked out perfectly.
Exactly, yeah. Nice. Insidious. So my number 5 is actually Holidays in Hell. Now, it may seem like it's a little low on the list, but it's not speaking negatively on the quality at all.
Yeah.
It was very hard to narrow down so many mazes they have at the event.
Don't worry, my list is kind of controversial, so...
So yeah, Holidays in Hell, I thought it was a fantastic concept, right? To take these holidays and give them a nice Halloween twist, make them all terrifying and gory. I love that it's a rework of a scare zone. The year prior, we had it as a scare zone down in the back lot, and I think it was so smart of them to take that and turn it into a maze. I love the costumes. I love the set work. This was one of those mazes that was highly detailed from start to finish, and I think you're going to find that's a trend with my mazes on my list, is that they all kind of had a shortage of negative space, if you know what I mean. So they were covered from wall to wall.
It's one of those underdog mazes, Everyone, there were some people that were okay about it, and some people were like, man, it's really good, and it was really good.
Absolutely, yeah, totally. I love it, man. So why don't you give us your number 4 there, Scott?
So number 4 right here is Halloween from 2015.
Nice.
I mean, what can I say? It was Michael Myers coming home. And rightfully so, he made his mark at Halloween Horror Nights again. Murdy did such a great job. I mean, the little projection effects on the facade of it, it was beautiful, The facade, everyone thought at first was it's kind of small, it's going to be kind of bad. But, I mean, when they started throwing detail on there and it made it look old and vintage, it really all came together. And honestly, I was so surprised on how well this maze was received in the Parisian Courtyard and how well it was pulled off in the Parisian Courtyard. Because as we know, the Parisian Courtyard holds mazes that are fairly small. And Halloween was fairly long. So everything. I mean, I love the Halloween franchise. That's my favorite horror franchise of all time.
Nice.
So for me to be able to experience Michael in real life and to be experiencing it in an amazing way, especially with the finale, thumbs up for Halloween 2015.
Heck yeah, man. I'm starting to find more and more every year that the mazes in that spot are some of my favorite. And I'm kind of worried that we're going to lose that spot sometime here in the future with all that Universal's doing up in that area, especially with all the DreamWorks stuff they're starting to
Yeah, it's rumored to go away this year, so.
Don't say that. Oh, man.
But I think we'll have it for one more year. I think next year will be the year that's gone.
Cool. Well, yeah, I do love that spot. And coming in at number 4 for me, the Krampus. First of all, the facade. Holy smokes, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was basically a full-scale house with the Krampus on the roof. Very, very impressive. And that Krampus on that roof was very, very terrifying. It's very imposing, just kind of standing over there watching you the whole time. All in all, I think it was one of the best screen to maze adaptations that Horror Nights has done, because they did a great job of pulling a lot of the look and a lot of the scenes from the movie and making you walk through them in the maze itself. Again, very detailed set work. Lots of great victim moments, like the big Jack in the Box. That was pretty terrifying. And, of course, no space spared, wall-to-wall decor. And it's one of the few Horror Nights mazes that includes some weather effects, because they actually had some cold air blowing in there, which was perfect. I thought that was great.
Yeah, and I enjoy that maze, and that's why my number 3 is Krampus. So I'll point to this camera. You can edit it so they can actually see it into the webcam right there. Krampus, number 3, 2016. Perfect. I mean, you basically said everything about it. Like, it was such a fun maze. The facade was absolutely stunning.
Oh, gorgeous.
And not only did they have weather effects in it, they also had scents in there, which in like
That's
the gingerbread scene, they had like a gingerbread smell. A lot of the stuff we don't see in Horror Nights mazes anymore, unfortunately. But they combined every single effect possible into this maze, and every single type of scare actor, whether it was puppets or whether it was someone getting eaten by the giant jack-o'-lantern thing. Or not jack-o'-lantern, what was it? The Jack in the Box. There you go.
The Jack in the Box, yeah.
I mean, and like I said, no space spared, no black walls in this maze at all. Phenomenal maze all around. And I would take it back in a heartbeat.
Oh, same, yeah. Honestly, yeah, that one, I remember the first time going through it, man, I was super, super blown away. And then I rewatched the maze, a maze walkthrough of it last night, and it still holds up to my memory, man. I want to go through it again. That one was awesome. And my number 3 is actually kind of an oldie. It's The Evil Dead Book of the Dead from 2009. Or I'm sorry, 2013. This maze blew me away because, first of all, the set detail was incredible. You basically were walking through the cabin at multiple times, and they had wooden floors. They had, all the decor around you looked like an actual log cabin, and it really transported you there. Excellent set and scene recreations. Very gory, very twisted like the movie.
Yep.
One of the things that I remember the most is they had the one of the characters with the split tongue. Right?
Oh yeah, that was terrifying.
Dude, the way that they did that effect with the prosthetic looked great. It was very convincing. They had a lot of good puppet effects in there too. And so I think, all in all, number 3 for me, Evil Dead. I loved it.
And that rocks. That personally rocks, in my opinion. But now we move into number 2, which is one from last year, and that is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Nice, yeah.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I mean, it was funky, it was fun, and I enjoy funky mazes. I mean, John Murdy, props to you. You did an excellent job with it. It was fun. It was energetic. All my favorite scenes from the movie. I mean, I like the little clown babies that were coming out in the bathroom. Like, those were terrifying scares.
Yeah.
And everyone was on their mark in there. So props to Killer Clowns from Outer Space of last year.
Absolutely, yeah. That one was great, man. It's a great example of a franchise that can be a little more comedic than it is horrifying. And they did a great job of translating it into the maze. I think it was both. It was a good balance of both. Terrifying and just a good time. One of the things that stands out to me is the memory of the facade kind of getting leaked. You remember that, Scott?
Yes.
When they,
yes. Oh my God. I don't know why they did that. It wasn't even a leak. It was just Universal screwed themselves.
Yeah, it was out there. It was out in the open, and somebody saw it, and they were like, "That's probably Killer Clowns."
It was
and
obvious.
Then, yeah, and then of course, after all the bloggers started talking about it, then they covered their facade, and they were like, no, you can't see it. It's nothing. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
All right, so we're coming down to our top two. Here is my number 2, Alien versus Predator,
that
baby.
is a good one.
Honestly, this one was one of those IPs that really shook me, right, when they announced it. I would have never guessed Alien versus Predator coming to Horror Nights, especially because like it was a small movie. It wasn't that big of a movie. It was a movie that I loved, and even then, it was years after the movie came out that they decided to go with this franchise and make it a maze. But I think it was such a perfect fit for Horror Nights. I loved the story behind it. It was very creative, and I loved how it was woven throughout the maze, right, with a ship crash landing in a neighborhood. Then you had Alien and Predator kind of battling out in the neighborhood.
It was such a beautiful maze.
It really was. I mean, dude, that very first scene when you walk in and you're walking through the forest and you see the crashed Predator ship, that thing was huge, man. That was a good scale. And the set design just kept getting better and better from there. I love the costumes, getting to see Alien as a puppet. They did that very well as well. And we can't forget the Xenomorph Queen finale with the giant alien.
So huge.
Giant.
So
Yeah, easily at least 2 stories tall. One of the tallest mechanical effects I've seen them do at Horror Nights. So that was truly incredible. AVP, I miss it. And we got it 2 years in a row, too. One of few Horror Nights mazes that we got 2 years in a row, which is
you got to
awesome.
experience it twice, and they rarely do that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, now it is time to dive into our number 1, our favorite Horror Nights maze. Scott, starting with you, brother.
So my favorite Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood maze of all time is none other. I'm sure a lot of you guys know this who are watching from my fan base. Number 1, La Llorona 2012.
Oh,
right there.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
I mean, the church facade alone deserves this number 1 spot. Church facade was absolutely beautiful, and I know you didn't get to experience this, but I'm sure you've seen videos.
Yes.
They told the tale perfectly. They made the ancient tale even more kind of twisted and terrifying than it already is. I remember when my uncle was telling me, or in the Mexican sense, my Theo, he was telling me about this as a little kid, and I was like, and we go up, we have family up in the area where the tale's actually told at, which is El Centro, like the Imperial Valley area, and he always told me this tale of like how if you don't stop for her, then she'll haunt you. But if you stop for her and let her get into the car, then you'll be all good. She'll just leave sometime. And it was terrifying to me, right?
Yeah,
and then
thank you.
Horror Nights announced that they were having a maze, so I was like, okay, well, that was in 2011 that they announced they were having a maze, but then they brought it back for 2012, and 2012 tops 2011 by landslide. They added the major effects that needed to be added and changed, and I loved it. I love both of the mazes, but 2012 I gotta say tops it a little bit. I guess you could say both of them are my favorite mazes of all time, but everything in this is sick and twisted tale, and there's so many cool puppets and so many great characters in it, and one of my favorite locations of all time that we no longer have, which is the Shrek 4DQ. I will still stand by La Llorona. I mean, Killer Clowns from Outer Space almost topped it last year. But, I mean, it's going to take a really good maze to top. Maybe Beetlejuice, if they pull it off, they'll top this. But it's going to take a really good maze to top La Llorona for me.
Yeah, dude, I'm so bummed I never got to see this one in person because the walkthrough videos look truly incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool that it's one of those original mazes that Universal or Horror Nights Hollywood rarely has. We're mostly IPs at our event, as opposed to, say, Orlando, which has a good balance of IP and original. So, yeah, I really hope that Murdy keeps flexing that original maze muscle because like Holidays in Hell, this was an original concept, and I think The more he does of those, the better for us, because that means that we get more maze variety. But we also get to see the inside twisted mind of good old Mr. Murdy, which is always a good time as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, dude, that's an excellent choice. La Llorona for number 1. And my number 1, which may come to no surprise to most of you as well, is Universal Monsters, baby, from 2018. Honestly, starting from the outside, I loved the artwork they had on the facade. On the brick wall, they had almost pop art versions of the Universal Monsters graffitied onto the wall in neon. I love those. Very little negative space. Again, wall to wall for the most part. Lots of beautiful set work. And man, it was non-stop Universal Monster action.
They had it throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, dude, honestly, you couldn't get a break. Every other corner that you turned, you would see one of the classic monsters. But I must admit, I'm still a little bitter that we didn't get Creature of the Black Lagoon. We got everybody else but Creature.
I still am salty about that too, don't worry.
I'm honestly super happy that the Universal Monsters have become such a staple of Horror Nights. Once again, I feel like it's almost sacrilegious if we don't have them at the event.
They're going to be with us for a couple more years at least.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And there was such a good reception to this maze in 2018 that, yeah, like you said, I think Murdy and the creative team took note of that, and we've got Universal Monsters to stay at Horror Nights, and I love it. And, well, there you have it, folks. That is our top 5 Horror Nights mazes. Scott, thanks again for joining us, dude. Where can everyone find you?
So you can find me at youtube.com/SoCal Exploring. Type it in. It should be the number 1 on YouTube, unless someone just renamed themselves to SoCal Exploring and stole the channel. And SoCal Exploring Media on Instagram, as well as SoCal Exploring on Twitter.
Awesome, man. And be sure to check out their podcast, too. Horror Nights Unscripted with Losh. It's a great podcast, too. And I'm loving all of the East Coast and West Coast action and love that we've been getting recently with people like you and the Nights of Horror. So that's awesome. And, well, once again, Scott, thanks for joining us, brother.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. And, of course, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at The Haunt Line. You can find us on the web at www.thehauntline.com. Be sure to listen to our podcasts wherever you download podcasts. And until next time, thank you for calling The Haunt Line.